Hey, this is Mark Oz. You're listening to Her Parade.
It says here we should work in teams. I tend to think of myself as a one-man wolf pack.
You are about to enter Information Overload, a worldwide transmission with Her Parade's featured Breeder of the Week. Here's your host, Jason Rossi.
What's up, world? Welcome back to H3. I'm your host, Jason Rossi. We are streaming live on RossiReptiles.com and, as always, on iTunes. This week's featured Breeder of the Week is here and is working with a killer project that I'm pleased to be a part of. Mark Haas from Shinja, www.shinjainc.com, is this week's special guest. Mark, welcome to Her Parade.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for taking time out of your schedule and coming to talk to us.
No problem. Anytime.
All right, man. Why don't you tell us about that little incident, well, not little, the big incident that changed some things for you on January 22nd.
Yeah, sure. I was, I think a lot of people can actually relate to this. Someone was calling me, wanted to do a deal. They called me, texted me, and said, hey, I want to buy some snakes. I said, okay, and he was like, I want to do cash, and I said, that's okay. I chose the place, everything. The area. I've met people there before. It's well lit. It was during the day and everything, and I went there and I got held up at my car, but pulled me out of the car, hopped in, and then he proceeded to shoot me. So he shot me in the chest. It shattered my clavicle, went through my lung, went out my back. He ended up stealing my car, wrecking my car like half a mile away or something like that. So he didn't even get anything. And then what ended up happening is I ran into a restaurant. They called the police and the ambulance, and luckily enough, I was about 4 miles away from the a very good trauma center, and one of the best trauma centers outside of Philly, and so they sent me there, and it was pretty serious. The doctors told me I was about 3 millimeters away from dying. Passed through some, missed my jugular, some of the other, pretty vital arteries, and I was in the hospital for a week, and then it took me right around 5 months to heal, I guess. So yeah, it was a pretty all for pinstripes and chocolates, pretty much. So it was definitely not worth it, but it is what it is.
So do you have a different outlook on life now?
Oh yeah, it really does change the way you look at things. Definitely how you treat people. Really, what you value is important. A lot of things are different. Kind of everything that you may have thought was this is the end of the world. I got to get this done, or I need to make this amount of money, or I got to do this. In the end, that stuff doesn't really mean anything. Just being happy. Your family, friends, those type of things are really what makes things go, and you kind of realize that when you almost die. So it was a tragic thing that happened to me, but it ended up being a very kind of eye-opening thing in the end. And so here I am. You go through something like that, you can end up getting real depressed and why did this happen to me, or you can kind of move on and actually look at it as a positive, and I survived this type of situation and kind of make things make your life better. So that's what I'm doing.
So how are you doing now?
I'm doing pretty good. I might have to have surgery on my shoulder. When it shattered, the bullet actually ricocheted off my clavicle, and it kind of actually created like a shock wave going down my arm, so my AC joint kind of got messed up. So I probably will need some surgery. Hurts a little bit when I breathe deep because I, obviously had some shattered ribs. But overall, I'm doing a lot better. It took me a while to physically feel pretty good. I did start working out after about a couple months, but it's been, it took about 5 months for my clavicle to actually heal. So it was pretty tough. It was pretty tough. I was coughing up blood for about 3 weeks because the bullet went through my lung. So it was it was definitely an experience. But the guy's in jail now, and ironically enough, and this is one of the sad aspects to this was the fact that a lot of people knew this guy. And he was in the reptile industry. He was actually known for stealing animals from people. He actually stole the pin pied from Brian Barczyk, and some other animals, and unfortunately, no one ever prosecuted him. So sometimes when criminals get away with things over and over and over again, it escalates, to a point of they think they can do anything, and unfortunately, that's where we are now. So I think it's important for the industry to kind of look out for each other, for the good people in the industry, and when there's someone out there like that, or some group of people out there like that, they should let it be known, because I didn't know about him at all, and I go to a show and everybody knows about him, and I was like, I wish I knew, but so obviously I'm going to I changed the way I do things a little bit and stuff like that, but it's one of those things where you can only change so much. It's a fact that there are bad people out there, and they're going to do some bad things, and this is just a situation that occurred. So,
well, it's a horrible situation to be in, and hopefully, you're doing better and 10 times stronger now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm doing a lot better. This breeding season has been a little rough, but for good reason. But overall, it's I'm coming up on the anniversary of it in January, so it's you feel good about things when you kind of go through that experience and you're still alive and everything's going well and you can breed and sell snakes, and hey, you got your health, and it's life is not that bad.
Are you still in physical therapy?
I didn't actually really do too much physical therapy. My clavicle was basically what they told me. I went for them to show me some exercises, but I lift weights a lot anyway. I'm kind of an avid, I'm a little bit of a workout nut. So basically,
gym rat.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. My orthopedic surgeon basically told me, hey, if it doesn't hurt, you can do it. If it hurts, stop. That was basically it. So that's what I did. Started working out. But I guess a couple of weeks after I got shot, with I couldn't do much. The only thing I did was I walked my dogs around. But I was able to start working out about 2 months after. But I think for about a month and a half, or I couldn't even lift my arm, past a certain amount. I mean, if you ever had your clavicle fractured or anything like that, it just really, really debilitates you from doing much with your arm. So it was a new experience for me. I think it's the longest I haven't worked out in my life. So it was a little bit liberating, I guess. But but I'm doing much better now. Aside from the fact that I might have to have surgery, but it's all good.
I'm glad to hear that, man. That is an unbelievable story, man. I can't even fathom that. So glad to have you here.
Great. Thanks. I appreciate it.
All right, well, let's get into the snake talk here.
Sure.
Why don't you tell our listeners about the Spectre ball python?
So the Spectre, my Spectre, I actually imported, way back in the day. I didn't really know what it was, and I bought it. I bred the snake, and it ended up producing some snakes that looked a lot like him, light and stripy, and I was like, hey, man, that's kind of cool. And then one day I saw Jared actually hatch the super stripes, and I looked at he had his picture of this clutch with the snakes and the eggs, and the sibs, and I was like, man, those sibs look like my snake. So the next year I bred all my females that I had raised up to yellow bellies, and that's how I first started producing super stripes. You can call it a little bit lucky, I think, so, and then from there on out, you just, try to build on the project and try to produce as much as you can in regards to new and different crosses.
Man, I'm telling you, you're doing a good job with that. That Fader Super Pastel, Super Stripe's a mouthful, and rightfully so. That thing's amazing.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it.
So how do you get to that point there?
In regards to all those crosses, or
yeah.
I don't know. So what I try to mix into the project would be stuff that I find that would be interesting. Up until this time, I put in a lot of kind of lighter color snakes, just to brighten it up. But then I started mixing in some darker stuff because for a period of time, the dark stuff wasn't really selling all that well, So then I was like, well, the stuff that really popped, like yellowish, all that type of stuff, was really selling well. I think the dark stuff, the dark crosses are actually kind of making a comeback a little bit with some of the cool dark crosses that are out there. So I try to mix in across the board quite a bit of stuff, and basically just mix in stuff that I find interesting and I think that'll be cool looking. I produced like way back in the day. I produced bumblebee specters, and I produced these females, and I just kept them. And so when I bred a Fader pastel ivory to a bumblebee specter, and then that's how I produced some of this, quite a bit of this, this stuff. It was if you breeding that type of stuff together, you're going to get all kinds of different crosses.
Like that Fader Super Pastel, Super Stripe, that thing's outstanding too. Were they clutch mates or just different breedings?
Well, I had multiple breedings where I could produce that. I have several bumblebee spectre females, so out of those clutches, I produced a couple of I produced two Fader Super Pastel Super Stripes, and out of those clutches, but they both look different. It's kind of weird, but then I see other people hatch. There've been some Super Pastel Super Stripes that have hatched, and they just don't look anything like mine. So that's why I know there's something else going on in there. It's kind of like I produced that what Mark Mandic calls the marble ball, and they just don't look anything like normal pastel super stripes. It looks like something just kind of crazy, whacked out pattern and just nuts. So I got my Fader pastel ivory. I got that from the Bells, and so it was kind of an accident how I got that snake, but it's actually worked out pretty well for me.
I don't know if you knew it or not, but we were talking about you last week, me and Mark, talking about the Marvel ball here on Her Purpuree.
Oh, yeah, Mark. Yeah, I like Mark. Mark's a good guy.
All right, so that cinnamon, so you're saying you could put some darker stuff into it. I love what that does to that. It's nice and creamy looking.
Yeah, I actually, so it's kind of weird though. I produced the cinnamon super stripe, and then I produced the pewter super stripe, And the cinnamon super stripe's really dark, and the pewter super stripe's like really, really light. So it's kind of crazy how you just add one thing into that and it just flips it. It's pretty strange. You know, I hatched the pewter vanilla the pewter vanilla super stripe, and that's more of a yellowish tinge as it gets older. I also hatched this year, even though I didn't hatch, you know, I'm not going to have a huge number of clutches. I did end up hatching some cool stuff. You know, I hatched some Mojave super stripes. I had some butter super stripes. I had some pastel butter super stripes, and then I hatched a bumblebee vanilla super stripe that looks pretty, like, really crazy. So I just haven't. I've been out of the mix a little bit, so I just haven't posted any pictures of hardly anything yet. So I'm probably going to do that this weekend. But, you know, so I like having it across the board because if you put too much light stuff into a snake, it almost starts to look white. So, and obviously we have enough white snakes out there.
So you said that the pewter super stripe was super light. Yeah, it is. How is that? Is it holding true, or is it darkening up a little bit as it ages?
It's actually pretty light. It's more like it's like certain parts of it are more grayish, you know, like a silverish, you know, turn where the stripe is. So the stripe down, the dark portion of the stripe is more like a grayish, you know, silverish color, and it's kind of like got some silver, you know, through it, and it's a little bit pinkish in certain areas, but it looks really, because my male, he's over 1,000 grams, so, you know, I think he is what he's going to look like. So they look really nice. It's, you know, but I don't think you can add too many things into that because then it gets too light. I think you need to get a little bit darker, you know. So you need to kind of put a tinge of darkness into it to add some color to it, or else if you keep on adding stuff to it, you know, I think it's going to just get too light.
So have you gone on the clown super stripe journey yet?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to produce some this year. I've got some pastel spectre het clowns, and I've got some, you know, spectre het clowns, and, you know, that should be able to breed this year, females and males. So, I mean, I'm hoping. Well, I probably wouldn't produce a super. Trying to think, I probably wouldn't be able to produce a super stripe, a pastel super stripe clown. I'd probably produce a pastel super spectre clown. That's probably what it's going to be. Just because I hatched a lot more. I was heavy on the spectre side. So, yeah, clowns are really hot now these days. So, you know, there's a couple of projects that I'm really excited about. You know, that's one project, and then the other project was, you know, I've got some. I'm hoping to produce like a lesser Enchi super stripe ghost. So that's another project that I'm trying to work on here that I have a chance of producing this year. But it's you know, I think that'll be a pretty cool combo as well. So it's, you know, and then along with banana and coral glow stuff, you know, so I should be producing some of that as well. So, you know, knock on wood, of course. You never know.
Yeah, that lesser Enchi by itself is a stunning animal.
Yeah, they're really. I like them. I have some, you know, lesser Enchis that are really, really nice. I think you know, I think you put that in a super stripe. I like to produce some I think the super Enchis will be, you know, really be killer. Like this super, like I have some Enchi spot noses and stuff like that. I like to produce some super Enchi lesser spot noses. I think those would be really sick. I think there's a lot of stuff you can do with the lesser and Enchi. You know, there's just so many. You know, it's just, you know, you cross that and other things, and it just gets crazy.
Like the vanilla super stripes, it's amazing how much they lighten up on their body there.
Yeah, and I have some now that are like, you know, right around like 1,500 grams or something like that, and they get really, really yellow, like really like a bright yellow, and they'll be really nice. That was like one of the combos I made. I didn't think it was going to be too crazy, but I think going forward, breeding that into other things will be crazy. You know, you'll be able to produce some really, really sick stuff. I have a vanilla specter to a fire yellow belly. That's I think a vanilla cream super stripe would be really nice. So I mean, sometimes you have to make these crosses knowing that product maybe not as hot, but in the combo with other things are going to be pretty sick. So you kind of have to sit on those projects, keep them, don't sell them off cheap because and then produce something in the long run that's really kind of stunning. That kind of keeps the project going. You don't always have to sell all your animals right away.
So you're sitting on some Spectre fires?
I mean, I don't have as many. I have more fire yellow belly crosses. I have those crosses because I have a lot of you go different directions. I went with the vanilla crosses, and then vanilla crosses for the Spectre, and then the fire I went with the yellow belly crosses. So then when I cross those together, and then you have all kinds of possibilities. Sometimes it's beneficial to, when there's a lot of fire yellow belly stuff out there, to go ahead and purchase that stuff, and then the Spectre, you produce the other combination that you need in there, and then I concentrate on that. So I picked up a whole bunch of fire yellow belly stuff. So then you're able to actually cross that into what you already produced within the vanilla range or whatever, Enchi. I also went down the Enchi Spectre range and all these other things where you can cross them into the fires and you get some really, really nice combos.
Talk about cool combos, man. That Spider Super Stripe is wicked cool looking animal.
Yeah, I produced some the Spider Super Stripe, not to denigrate someone else's Spider Super Stripe, but that just looked different than the other Spider Super Stripes that were produced. That was in the fader clutch, so they were just really, really wicked looking. Now I produced like the Bumblebee Super Stripe, or Faded Bumblebee Super Stripe and all that stuff. So I kept those, and now they're about 1,100 grams, 1,000 grams, right around there, and they just really pop. They're just really, really nice. They don't wash out at all. Real bright yellow. So the Spider sometimes it does a lot of crazy things. It's amazing how it can just whack out that pattern the way it does. I never would have expected that.
Yeah, I love spiders. That was our first morph we ever bought.
Oh, really? My first morph was a pastel. I bought a pastel for $9,000. Believe it or not.
Yeah, I read that. I couldn't believe that. Back
in the day. Yeah, I bought a pastel for $9. I think I bought my first spider for $13. Something insane. Now what you pastel you sell for $50 or something like that. It's crazy. So I know how people a lot of times in this industry they're like, oh my God, this stuff is this price now, and I'm like, well, I've already gone through all that before. There's always another end to the spectrum. Hopefully that continues. You never know how things go, but when I bought my pastel, at $9,000, and then two years later they're $4,500 or $5,000. You could look at it as wow, my investment, I just lost that much, or produce as many as you can and make your money. So if you spend $9,000 on something and 2 years later it's at $4,000, but you can produce 15 of them, it's your profit is there. You just need to. That's my one advice that I always tell people that ask me. What's the one thing I would tell them? I said, if you buy a snake, make sure you breed it. Don't resell it. Don't trade it. Make sure you breed it, and try to make that money from that snake.
Well, that's great advice. People should listen.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with the super speckled, man? That's definitely a cool looking animal.
Yeah, the super speckled, it's very similar to like Ralph's, Neo or the paintball. Like a long time ago, I used to buy stuff from like some of the importers and stuff like that. So I bought a group of animals, and I told them, hey, you know what? I'm buying all this stuff. Why don't you pick me out some cool granites and cool this, cool that, and throw them in. And he threw them in for free, and that female turned out to be one of them. And I raised her up. Thought she was like a genetic granite type of thing. Bred her to I bred her and produced a son, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to breed the yellow belly to it. And then he didn't want to breed, so I bred her son to her, and she ended up producing that. Ended up being something crazy. And then I just kind of went on from there, and I produced a lot of combos with that snake. I've kind of held the snake back in regards to keeping a lot of it because I wanted to create something crazy. I'm on the cusp of it, but it's taking me a lot longer than I expected. But I should be able to this year produce some really, really cool stuff. I have produced like a pastel super speckled, spider super speckled, bumblebee super speckled, those type of animals. But I want to be able, I have a chance to produce a lavender super speckled, and then also like some killer bee super speckles and stuff like that. So I think this year will be an important year for that snake, because I think I'll be able to produce some cool stuff with it.
So you said you bred her to her son. Is it recessive? Is it codominant?
It's codominant. Yeah, it's codominant. Yeah, you can pick out the babies. It's a little subtle, I guess you would say. They're granny and they have some flames and stuff like that. It's not it's nothing crazy. Nothing that would have told you that the super would look like that, but there's a lot of snakes that when they look up, you look at them, they're like, no, that's nothing special, and then all of a sudden it produces something nuts. So just like the specials with the crystal and stuff like that, no one would claim that those are crazy looking, but you breed it to a Mojave or breed it to itself, and it produces something nuts. So you just never know.
Hence the super derp. That's why it's codominant. Okay, yeah, I'm sleeping at the wheel here. But that vanilla yellow belly is a powerhouse as well, man. That's definitely a cool animal. I definitely want to get a super vanilla someday. But with the yellow belly in there, it just makes it that much better.
Yeah, I did produce a super vanilla lesser yellow belly this year. That was just crazy looking. She's really nice looking. For the super vanilla yellow belly to a vanilla lesser. That was a cool combo to produce. I like vanillas. I'm kind of hooked on them. They don't look like much when they're young, the actual vanillas, but the crosses, as they get older, they just start to look really, really nice. So I like them. Just like fire, disco, vanilla, all in that same allele or whatever. So those are all pretty nice snakes.
So are they hard to pick out as hatchlings, or can you just tell right away?
Well, luckily for me, I have a super, so then it's all right. But I wouldn't say that they're easy to pick out. Not for me necessarily. The vanillas, some look nice and some not so much. But they're I would say that they're they're harder for me to pick out than specters are. But maybe that's just because I have I've been doing the specters for so long. But I'm lucky. That's why when I originally bought the super vanilla yellow belly, I wanted a super. I didn't want just a vanilla yellow belly because you don't want to be guessing what
reasoning exactly.
What the offspring are, because I don't know how many times people have emailed me and said, hey, is this a specter? Someone sold me this as a specter. And I'm like, you got to ask that person, and basically it's when you breed those type of snakes to like a normal, a lot of times the female has some sort of influence on that combo, and sometimes you're just not sure. So that's why the super just makes it a no-brainer.
Well, I gotta say, man, that fire inch you smoking just for a double, man, that thing is outstanding.
Oh yeah, fire inches are really nice. I produced some fire inches last year, but they're really nice. They're just kind of something that's, to have a good females. You can always breed that into an inchy fire, and you can always have something nice come out of that.
Yeah, you're not gonna go wrong with those.
No, absolutely not.
Just like you can't go wrong with the Fader Bumblebee Super Stripe, man. That thing is smoking as well.
Yeah, that actually ended up being a really nice thing. Actually, it was really light when it was hatched, but now it's just really popping. It's really, really bright, and it's just really cool. I hatched that, and I also hatched a Fader Killer Bee Super Stripe, and that one's just really faded. Really, really faded. But, those two snakes were, I hatched, they were siblings. So I hatched, I think out of that clutch I hatched two, I forget. I know I at least hatched, one Fader Killer Bee Super Stripe and then a Bumblebee Super Stripe and then some Spider Super Stripes. So it was a nice clutch.
Yeah, man, a whole grab bag there.
Yeah. Exactly.
But that Fader Super Pastel Yellow Belly, love the way that thing looks, the pattern on that, and just how it's faded out, how the name says. Yeah,
those are actually really nice. Those are good females to have to raise up, breed into other things. You really never have enough of them in your collection. They are just a good staple to base into any type of cross.
Just like the vanilla cream, man. Who would have thought fire and vanilla create something cool like that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I have vanilla creams. The only problem that I have with vanilla creams is that when you breed a vanilla cream to a normal, you just get fires and vanillas. And right now, they're not the most desirable things to sell, but if you breed, you definitely need to breed it into something else. Breed it into like a super fire or something like that, or another vanilla fire. Maybe produce some supers and stuff like that. But it makes it just really, really difficult, unfortunately, to I wonder. I haven't produced some vanilla creams lately. I always wondered if they're going to be hard to pick out, the fires and vanillas. I'm not altogether sure because I haven't had too much experience hatching. Because I know some people have problems with mystics and Mojaves, but coming from like mystic potions and stuff. But it's definitely a crazy snake to come out of that. It's just like the gargoyles. I didn't think gargoyles were on the same allele until I started producing from I produced the pastel gargoyle a couple of years ago, and I started producing from the pastel gargoyle, and it just turns out it's on the same allele as well. So it's definitely a surprise.
Do you think that the vanilla will influence a Lucy like it does the ivory? Oh, I'm sorry, the super stripe? To make it yellow, more yellow?
No. I hatched a vanilla ivory. I had some vanilla ivories, and it does influence them, makes them definitely more yellow, but not that much more yellow. So it may be just hard to tell. It's really hard to say. Some things when you put it into a Lucy, it just almost makes no difference. some of those things with like the Lucy's and stuff, I just don't go down that road, because then if you hatch a white snake, I mean, does it have vanilla in it? Do you know for sure? Can you sell it? You know, what can you do? So that's sometimes I stay away from those type of things.
It almost looked to me like the vanilla ivory looked a little lavender to it. Is that true, or was I seeing things?
Well, the vanilla had a lot of, like, especially younger, had a lot of purple in it. You know, like down its back, and a lot of purple around the head and stuff like that. As it gets older, it gets some yellowish tinge to it and stuff like that. But it I think it really depends on the different snake. You know, I kept one back, about 800 grams now. He's really nice, but it's nothing. I don't think it's anything drastically different from like how like a pastel ivory, as it gets older, sometimes that color gets taken away. You know, that's a little bit of that with the vanilla ivory, I think. Gets real clean, it's got some purplish to it and stuff like that. It looks really nice, but, you know, the ivory kind of takes over.
So can we expect some banana super stripes here in the future?
You know, that's a good question. You know, I'm you know, with the bananas, it's when you reduce the pattern. I don't necessarily like it when you reduce the pattern, because when you reduce the pattern, you kind of take away some of that purple that you really want in the snake. So I'm going to be producing some, like, I'll definitely produce some crosses this year. You know, like some Cine Spectre stuff, and I want to, you know, keep it kind of dark. But I haven't really decided if I want to. You know, I'm going to go try to do not just a super stripe banana, but I'd rather do like a Cine super stripe banana or something like that. That's definitely in my plan. I don't know how soon that's going to happen, though. All depends.
We'll be waiting in the wings.
Yeah, so will I.
So that cinnamon hen Gene Woma, what's your plans with that guy? Super stripe?
Well, he's been a not so good breeder for me, but you know, so I've put him with different things like some Enchi yellow belly and some stuff like that, but he's been a little bit, you know, sometimes the snakes get too big and they get kind of lazy. I think that's what happened to him. He got kind of lazy. So I haven't really planned him out what I'm going to do with this breeding season with him, because, you know, I got to sit down and think of what I'm going to do. But I haven't really. I don't know if the hidden Gene Momo Super Stripe will be what it would look like, or whether it'd be cool or not. You know, so I need to think about it. I pick and choose my projects, so, you know, I don't want to have like a billion animals I keep back. You know, I don't have. I do have a separate building for my snakes, but I don't want to, you know, have a ton of animals. So I pick and choose my projects, you know, on what I find interesting and what I think is gonna be popular, and what's gonna sell, and also it's really got to be what I like, and you know, I tend to like the lighter, not lighter, but more colorful snakes. Personally, that's not to say that I don't breed the darker snakes, but, you know, sometimes with my plan is to, you know, always go a little bit more colorful, but you know, times have changed. Things get, you know, other things get popular, so you never know. So I remember back in the day, I had a chance to buy champagne really early, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, but, you know, what kind of crosses would you do? And I just totally missed that boat. I just totally missed it. So sometimes you just kind of you guess wrong. So, you know, but you know, So I need to make that decision on what I'm going to do with that project.
Well, you guessed right on the Enchi Ghost, man. That as soon as you put that ghost on that Enchi, that yellow just gets turned up, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I should be producing some Enchi Mojave ghosts as well here soon. So I think those will be pretty hot. Yeah, the Enchi ghosts. I think anything with Enchi in them seems to look nice. Enchi really blows up. A lot of projects, makes them look really good. So I just don't think you can go wrong with anything with Enchi normally. It's really a good staple to have in probably any cross.
We also have the Spectre ghosts and the Super Stripe ghosts.
Yeah, I'm hoping to produce some, like I was saying earlier, some Enchi lesser Super Stripe ghosts and some Super Enchi Super Stripe ghosts, stuff like that. I'm going down that road more than the pastel Super Stripe ghosts. I do have some pastel ghost Spectre stuff, but I not as many people are working with the Enchi Spectre ghosts. I don't think. I have no idea actually, but I really want to go down that road and try to produce that. So that's where I'm kind of leaning a lot of my Spectre ghost stuff to right now.
Shoot, man, I still haven't got out of the Enchi boat, and I'm kicking myself for not doing that.
Yeah, I think the Enchi's, like I was saying, you can put Enchi in anything, and it just looks really, really nice. I think fire, vanilla, all those things, when you put them alone, sometimes they're not all that thrilling, but you put them in with other things, and they just kind of make everything a lot nicer, a lot cleaner, and just really add that kind of needed ingredient to make things look good.
And let's talk about that crystal project. That's an awesome one to be in there with the specials.
Yeah, the crystal project's really nice. I produced some super specials this year, and they're just really orange, and their pattern's crazy. They're really cool. Yeah, I love the crystals. I think they're a great project that seems to have lasted a long time. Crystals have been produced for a while now, and they just they seem to keep their value very well. Or at least they have up until now. It's kind of like the clowns. Clowns have been around for a long time, and they really just keep their value very well. I think they're just a lot of crosses you can do with them that look really good. And crystal, I don't know about the crosses as much. I just think they're just a cool looking snake.
And again, that's another project that will be going on here as well. So tell us, do you vend any expos?
I normally do Tinley. Yeah, I normally go to Tinley, and there's a local show, there's a Hamburg show. The Hamburg show, unfortunately, that guy that shot me, he would go to that show. He would also go to White Plains and all that those shows, and he would actually steal stuff off people's tables for those shows. He actually had a little crew that would go to these shows and steal stuff. They were actually well known around this area, White Plains. Everybody knew about them. That they would go out and steal stuff. And so this year I was like, I don't want to go back to that show. Not right now. I'm not really digging it. So I know he's in jail, but I just
what
wasn't
about his
feeling
crew?
Yeah, his crew's not in jail. He was actually when I ID'd him and everything, they got his DNA matched and everything. He was actually in jail for rape. He was already in jail for rape. He raped somebody like a week after he shot me. So
real winner.
Yeah, that sounds like a real great guy. But so I don't do as many shows. I do more of my sales is basically online. When I talk to people, and because I have my own, I have another job as well. So, and then I have this company, and I have somebody that works for me and stuff like that. So I can't really travel as much. It just takes up too much of my time. So, but I do go to the Tinley show. I would go to like Daytona, but I heard Daytona's gotten really squirrely now these days. And some of the other shows are, I've just been told haven't been doing so hot, so I just haven't gone.
Well, man, I hope to see you out at Hamburg sometime. That's the one we like to frequent. If not, then we'll try to hit up the White Plains. It's just Sunday is our chill day to take care of all the animals. But
yeah,
hope to see you out there at Hamburg sometime, man.
Yeah, so you go to Hamburg?
Yeah, we try to go out there.
Yeah, I used to vend there. Yeah, I did, quite a bit, and then it got to the point where, obviously I got shot and everything, and then I went back to the show to sell some stuff I was selling to someone at the show, and then everybody started telling me about this guy. They're like, oh, I bet you it's this guy. And they told me his name, and everybody knew his name. They told me his name. They said, I bet you it was him. And then it ended up being that guy. He ended up being the one that shot me. So everybody already knew about him. Everybody knew that he was a crook, stealing stuff, doing all these things, but no one did anything about it. So
we put a picture of him on the door and tell everybody to look out for him. There's an idea.
Yeah, I mean, some of them were friends with him and stuff like that. A lot of people, unfortunately, and I'm not saying this is the majority of people or even a minority. I'm not even sure. Sometimes if it's not happening to me, I'm not going to worry about it. If it's happened to someone else or someone else is getting stuff stolen from them, that's fine. Not hurting me, then I'm not going to deal with it. And that's an unfortunate attitude to have because you never know when it can happen to you, or it puts a black eye basically in our industry. Now how many people have come up to me now and saying, say kind of ignorant things in regards to, oh, it's just because you're dealing something like snakes, and who deals snakes? Who does this? They were calling me a snake dealer. So I'm not a drug dealer. I have a legal company. So, unfortunately, I think we need to start policing our industry a little bit better in regards to that aspect in order for it to gain a better reputation and for us to be a little more well-respected out there in society, because that's the only thing that's going to keep us from not being, washed away and say, hey, we can abolish all these things and, these people can do whatever, and they shouldn't be doing this stuff anyway. Because that's the kind of attitude that I got, that I received when I talked to not people in the hurt world or whatever, but normal, different people in society, different people that I work with in the corporate world, that type of stuff. It's that type of prevalent attitude in regards to people that do reptiles and stuff, that they're strange, or they got problems, or they have this, and it shouldn't be relegated to that. But unfortunately, until we start policing things better and doing some things in a better manner, I think going to have that problem.
Well, that's well said, man. That was one of my questions, and that's a really good answer. We need to really police ourselves. That's just it.
Absolutely. I mean, how many times have people done deals for thousands of dollars and there's no contract? There's nothing. People get ripped off all the time. And the only policing we have is like the BOI or something like that, It would be really nice to, and I'm not saying that any industry doesn't have that type of aspect to it, but, so many people, young people try to get into our industry and they end up getting screwed over by somebody because of that aspect. I think it'd be better if we police things better. People knew who the good people are, who the bad people are, in regards to trying to make this industry a better industry.
And I'm only having good guys on the show.
Yeah, well, whatever a good guy means, but you know what I'm saying. I think it's you let people get away with certain things that are either immoral or those type of actions. People get away with those things over and over and over again, and it only thing it does is it brings everything down. It doesn't bring it up to a level that's more respectable. So, I think those are some of the issues, because since I just don't do reptiles. I'm a computer engineer. I work in the corporate world, so I also get the attitudes of what other people view our industry as, and a lot of people view our industry as a bunch of freaks. And I'm not. Believe me, I'm in this industry, so I'm not. I don't believe that to be the case. But unfortunately, if we don't start policing things better and start handling things in a more professional manner, that's the viewpoint that you have. So those are the people that are pushing. Why do these people need snakes, or why do these people need to have these animals? They shouldn't be having this stuff anyway. You don't put across that image of someone that's respectable, or someone that knows what they're doing, or someone that can actually, get your point across without looking like a fool, basically. I don't think things are going to get any better, because, unfortunately, those type of people that have those negative attitudes toward our industry outnumber us, it seems. So, and those are the people, like in politics, that are trying to get everything abolished. It's all about money. It's everybody wants to get their state to get more money, stuff like that. And they'll do what they want. They try to get rid of things. So.
Oh, it just makes me sick that I'm sitting here watching Netflix, supposed Animal Planet animal show with my family, and I just see all the propaganda. I see right through it, what they're trying to do, trying to scare everyone and make us look like you said, freaks.
And you look at so you look at reptiles, and then you even look at Animal Planet, which is supposed to be pro animals, and they got a show of killing rattlesnakes. Rattlesnake Roundup, I think, or whatever it is, and they just butcher rattlesnakes. How much respect do they really have for it? Not so much.
No.
So then, do you have any type of, in this industry, any type of formulated group that can go and say something about these things? We have pockets of things here and there. You don't have like a union or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But if you don't have a united front, united where everybody gets involved in a respectful manner and also a professional manner, you won't be taken seriously. And I tell you that right now just because I deal with people in the corporate world, and especially after I got shot, you get a lot of opinions. People don't give me their opinion, just before I got shot. They're being nice and all that stuff. Now it's like the question I get the most: do you still do snakes? Do you still do that stuff? That's the prevalent question I get. That's probably the question I get the most. Why do you still do that? And I'm like, well, I mean, if I owned a flower shop and I got robbed and I got shot, would I give up selling flowers? It doesn't make sense. Just because it's something that maybe you're not familiar with doesn't make it wrong. So unfortunately, but that's the attitude that's out there. And until you can come with a professional front that everybody finds to be respectful and seems to understand what's going on, you just won't be taken seriously. And I think a lot of people do this industry as a side type of job and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of all the stuff that's going on. It's kind of like out of sight, out of mind type of thing. So they live their life and they're doing this stuff and some of the stuff they do on the side. I mean, I get all the questions about these people that are selling snakes to these shows. Do they pay taxes? I get all this stuff, and I don't have any good questions for that. Answers for that is. So until you start policing things, you start doing things the right way, really do things the right way, it's really hard to gain that respect.
Well, it's a great take on that subject, and appreciate you giving your input.
Yeah, I think I probably have a different take just because since I don't know, I'm probably one of very few people that have been shot in a snake robbery. All right, so I don't think that has really happened too much. So a lot of people open up their opinions to me when, especially friends, people, coworkers, anyone, because I almost died. They feel that they can lend their opinion to me. And the opinion is about reptiles and that industry is, unfortunately, it's misguided. I think people a lot of times think down on things. Maybe they fear a little bit. A lot of people don't like snakes, or like spiders or whatever. So they feel that you shouldn't have a job or you should own a company that does that type of stuff. So it's unfortunate, but people need to realize that that's the attitude out there, and you need to find a united front or a professional front to actually try to change that attitude.
Great answer, man. So is there anything you'd like to add in closing?
I think we've covered all the bases. I think the only thing in closing probably would be that we start policing ourselves better. Start doing things a little bit more the right way. Stop screwing people over. I know that's hard to say because I don't think every industry has that where people there's bad guys and good guys. I just think that we need to police it better in regards to if there's someone that's stealing stuff from people, let it be known. When someone screws you over or rips you off or something, follow through and do something about it. Just don't let people get away with these type of things. It'll make the industry that much better. It'll make everything more professional, and in turn, you gain respect more in the industry. You'll also gain it outside the industry to other people that are out there that actually influence, some of the things that we're fighting against.
Stand up and speak up.
Yeah, no one wants. I think it's unfortunate. You could probably talk to everybody that's bought snakes, and every one of us has been screwed over before. Bad. It's unfortunate. Now, are those people out there still doing it? The same people? Absolutely. It would have been nice to know that ahead of time. That, hey, because there's a Better Business Bureau, all those type of things, and some of these people don't even have companies. So it would be nice to be able to know these things ahead of time. But that's just one of the aspects about being in the industry as well. That's prevalent everywhere, not just in our industry.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you taking time out and speaking with us.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All right, make sure to check out Mark's website at www.shinjainc.com. All right, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Her Per Parade. Don't forget to subscribe and comment on iTunes, and always we're streaming live on RossiReptiles.com. Her Per Parade, out.
Hey, this is Robin at the Reptile Report, and you're listening to Her Per Parade.